beating the Cards 37-14. This was a very, very good win for the Rams. Rams have had their way in Arizona since they got to Los Angeles, though. They probably lost once since they've been out since they played against the Cardinals in Arizona, and I think they probably only lost to Arizona about 3 times since moving to Los Angeles. This has been an absolute just square on the schedule for many years for the Rams, man. And yesterday was no different. They went ahead and they absolutely annihilated. And this looks very good on the resume. They swept Seattle this year. They've been able to beat Arizona. They did lose to San Francisco, but at the end of the day, they are 3-1 in the division, and they are a game behind now the Seahawks. So this puts them in a position to where they can be right in the hunt of things. You know what I mean? They can be right there because Minnesota's shaky, in my opinion. You know what I mean? We'll talk a little bit more about that on the show tomorrow. We'll see how they do tonight, but I feel like they're a little shaky now because Josh Dobbs, the feel-good story of Josh Dobbs is great, but he's still limited at the same time, too. There's a reason why he's a backup in this league and not a starter. Okay, so you have that. And then, Matt Stafford was absolutely balling yesterday. He's had his woes against the Cardinals, but not yesterday. He wound up going 25 for 33, throwing for 229 yards, and then threw for 4 touchdowns as well, too. He had an interception, but you know what? Who cares? They absolutely crushed these boys 37-14. He had a 121.1 QBR as well, too. Kyron Williams was an absolute monster yesterday. 16 carries, 143 yards. Royce Freeman was so good yesterday as well, too. He had 77 yards on 13 attempts. So when you look up at that stat right there, this team had 220, actually had 221 yards on the ground yesterday between those 2 running backs. So this was just a much-needed win and a much-needed thorough win for this team as well. Puka Nacua did not do Puka Nacua things yesterday or Cooper Kupp, but still, they were able to keep things very honest with the Cardinals. And Tutu Atwell, Kyron Williams, and Higbee were able to take advantage of that situation. And you know what? They were able to spread the ball around, and they just had a really great, thorough game yesterday. It just was really good. Turner had 2 sacks himself. Hoek had a sack himself as well, too. Johnson also had a sack. Then, 25 first downs to 19 first downs yesterday. They were able to connect on 50% of their third downs as well, too. That's always going to help you win games. They were 100% on 4th downs as well. They gave up 292 yards and gained 457. And then it was from a well-balanced passing and rushing game, 229 and 228 delivered, and they only ran 2 more plays than the Cardinals and still beat them by 23 points. That looks like the Super Bowl Rams that we knew a few years ago. But you know what? Once again, this team is in a 1 game at a time phase. Next week is Cleveland, who comes in here 7-4, but Cleveland might be an easier target this week because they don't have their starting they're probably going to be without DTR this week as the starting quarterback. And then you got to get down to who's going to be the starter, PJ or Joe Flacco. You know what I mean? And I know that both those guys probably present the element that they're not going to do that well come Sunday. But you know what? The Browns still carry a very good defense. If everything can be in place, then this game can be a lot closer than it looks on paper. But right now, the Rams have opened up as a 4.5-point favorite because you know what? The Rams have pretty much found their mojo right now, and lines makers have caught that, and they're back at home as well, too. They're going against a Cleveland team that everybody feels that's reeling. So this is a huge game for them coming up on Sunday. Then they fly out to Baltimore. That's a very important game for them to try to go ahead and pull off an upset there. Then they got back-to-back home games against the Commanders and the Saints, and then they finish up on the road at the end of the year. They got a New Year's Eve meeting with the Giants, and then they have themselves a meeting with San Francisco on the 7th of January 2024 to end the season, and they have not came up with the actual time for that game. So that game may be flexed into the Sunday night football game as possibly a game that the Rams need to win to go ahead and get into the playoffs. But right now, I would say this: when I look at the end of the season for the Rams, when you really do look at this situation, you can say that if they win their next 4 out of 6, they should be able to sneak into the playoffs with a 9-8 record. That's what I'm looking at right now. If they are able to do anything better than that, then they're definitely in the playoffs. But we will see. The race is hot and heavy, and you know what? It's fun. This is the best time of the year. I love this time of the year, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But the Rams, big win, excitement has returned to the House of SoFi. So there's a lot of things to be excited about when it comes to being a Rams fan, because the Rams were actually kind of written off a few weeks back when they went to 3-6. Now, they've won the last 2 in a row, both divisional wins. This team is confident. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. We move forward from there. Let's go ahead and talk about our next topic, which is going to be the Falcons now